Hello scribes! Thank you for joining me for another writing video. Today I'm excited to bring you a video about how writers get noticed. When I was just starting out, my first few questions were about not how to get the story right, but how do I get representation and get into the industry? So I wanted to talk about the things you should have or do to get noticed by the important people who will let you into the Writers Club.
Your knowledge, mentality, and hard work make up the journey all writers go through before they're labeled a natural. I'm Pika Lee, and I make videos that help build the foundation of writing that is you. So let's focus on you.
Before we dive in, if you don't know me, I'm Pika Lee, and I welcome you to my channel, all about growing your knowledge to build a great story, great writing structure, and a sturdy mindset. So hit that like button, subscribe, and get settled in so we can talk about getting noticed as a writer. Now, all of the things I'll be talking to you about are tips for beginner to intermediate writers who are not sure what they should be doing in preparation for the new ways writers are being found. 1. Writing samples. If you're new to having any samples or portfolio of writing, I urge you to check out my video about misconceptions of writing samples. It covers all the basics of what you should have as a writing sample and how they're used by professionals to land writing jobs. Having writing samples are the first thing an industry professional will ask for. It may come in the form of, what else do you have? Or, do you have any others in this style? It's like if someone's doing photography for an important upcoming event, the person purchasing your time wants to know what you've done before. Are you consistent in this style of photography? Have you done this style before? You know, like weddings are different from newborn photography, composed slightly differently, and they want to know what it looks like when you edit it up. You have to think from the perspective of how would you look for a writer to complete your project? Or how would you hire any other creative to work on a project that you really love? Writing samples do this. And of course, you always have the opportunity to take those writing samples and put them into the next thing. 2. Competitions. More and more writers are turning to competitions for their promises of industry exposure, not to mention the perks of the writing feedback, which is sometimes included with the entry fee. And of course, there is the possibility of making it onto a prominent unsigned writers list on certain websites that are hosting the competition, kind of like the red list, or putting it on the blacklist, which also has writing competitions of its own. Competitions also offer great prizes, like money, and, okay, wait, no, not all of them give just money. A lot of them have writing retreats, mentorship programs, and a whole host of other things that are really worth your time. I do highly recommend reading the legalities of it. Make sure you follow the guidelines like copywriting your work if they don't provide measures that prevent the right to your work still being retained once you enter. While most competitions protect you against this and you retain the rights to your work, whether chosen or not, you have to make sure that you're practicing the methods of reading a contract. This is just business. And honestly, just because we're writers doesn't mean we don't have to have a business mindset. Read all of the fine print. Businesses write in some very interesting things after presenting a very pretty ideal to you. Before I scare you off, even shortlisting on any sort of competition is enough to prove you have really great skills. To me, I also use this as a benchmark for how my writing improves. Competitions range from free to $75 or more. I do add on coverage because this gives me notes on what I may need to improve when I'm not sure how much work needs to be done, things like that. Helps me with fine-tooth revisions. 3. Networking. This goes without saying. Even in the times of staying indoors to avoid a truly avid traveler, the coronavirus, networking is still possible. Take a course. Do a virtual retreat. They have those. Join National Novel Writing Month. Join a writing Discord, the writing app Clubhouse, or whatever the in platform is for writers these days. There are virtual writers conferences too. And film festivals are either moving online or limiting in-person meetings, but still creating opportunities. Now to my best advice. Make friends with other writers because they're gonna share your struggles, and they're gonna learn off of you, and you're gonna learn off of them. You're gonna pick up writing habits, and also you'll sometimes provide a lot of needed support to each other. Not only this, but if you help them succeed, they're gonna remember this, and sometimes return the favor. It's all about the potential of people. After all, that's what you're asking someone of you, to take a chance on your potential. In all networking, You want to go into it with less of the mentality of, what can you do for me? And more of the thoughts of, how can I evolve with you? It's like a relationship. You never want to be unequal with that partner. You want both to teach and both to grow with you. Even if someone knows more than you, we're all still constantly learning in this field and every level and every position. So trust me, looking at networking in this way will bring lifelong friends into your circle, mentors that stick around, and more opportunities. Like filmmakers who want to make your content. This also works as a word of mouth. Someone may know someone who's looking for a writer or knows an agent that likes the kinds of things that you write. This industry is just so unpredictable. So while you're reaching out to agents and literary managers or literary companies with queries, remember to think outside the box when networking with others. 4. Building a community. I'm not saying you have to build a writertube channel or that you have to put your life out to the public to make it, but there is value in building a community. I decided to share things I was learning because I didn't have anyone to tell me these things before, and I couldn't find many videos to guide me. Right now, the internet is amazing. It has blogs and videos to teach me things I had to learn by trial and error and pay for expensive classes while working full time just to learn these things, which I currently still do, but give and take. So it was inevitable that I was gonna want to share my own stories to a community. Besides, my family is really talkative, so, the gene was already there. The value in building a community is that it becomes a way to network and market yourself. Remember, we don't want to just solicit our writing all day. We want to build connections that could benefit both of us and the person we're trying to connect with. I've seen that many writers have the best success when it comes to connecting personally with people in the creative market. Side note, if you want a video about some current places you can build your online community, let me know down below. And if you haven't checked out my Twitch for Writers video yet, you can find that here. Back to building a community. While I know some of you are grumbling, saying, but we're mostly introverts, the benefit in becoming more open to a community is also becoming good at speaking, shaking some nerves, and really gaining some confidence. Again, we're also marketing ourselves. So we're gonna be in a room one day where we're gonna be the only ones who can advocate for our story and why we should be writing it. So building a community just kind of prepares us for that in little ways, showing how we manage creating and giving value in the creative industry. It also lends itself to other important concepts of getting noticed. And it's well worth the time and dedication to having a community who personally gets to know you and grow with you, and possibly eventually get to enjoy and read your writing one day, which leads to having what the industry calls IP. 5. Having IP. IP is short for intellectual property. I'm going to read the actual definition since it's very specific and it encompasses the legal aspect of it. Intellectual property is a work or invention that is the result of creativity, such as a manuscript, a design, and has rights for which one may apply for a patent, copyright, trademark, etc. Basically, your writing, brand, or anything you create and publish has value as your property. Interestingly, it has a creation stamp, so you can technically trace it to you and that it's owned by you, but legally, some things may need to be copywritten to prevent copycats from using things without payment or credit to you for it. And if you have something people think has value, you become valuable yourself. You can copyright a manuscript and self-publish, and this becomes IP. With this, you can show that you have a foundation of a community behind it and data to back up how valuable you are as a writer if you query a producer or an agent. Not only that, but if you have something in more than one format and have rights to it, it makes it more of a motivator for someone to want to go ahead and pick that up. So you can see that continuing to create many other works adds so much value. Think J.K. Rowling for the Harry Potter series when they wanted to make it a movie. Or Stan Lee when they wanted to make Spider-Man into action figures. Pre-created and pre-owned property that was leveraged to make wildly popular series and evolving merchandise that created more intellectual property, so appealing. Now let's recap this. Here are the 5 ways a writer can get noticed. 1. Writing samples. Having writing samples are the first thing an industry professional will ask for. It may come in the form of, what else do you have? Or, do you have any others in this same style? They want to see your portfolio to assess your writing skills. 2. Competitions. More and more writers are turning to competitions for their promises of industry exposure. Not to mention the perks of writing feedback, which is sometimes included with the entry. And of course, there is the possibility of making it onto the prominent list of rated unsigned writers listed on certain websites hosting the competition. 3. Networking. This industry is so unpredictable, so while you're reaching out to agents and literary managers or literary companies with queries, remember to think outside of the box on networking with others. It's all about the potential of others. After all, it's what you're asking of others to think of you. Take a chance on your potential. So don't forget to make friends with other writers. You want to go into it with less of a mentality of what can you do for me and more of a thought of how can I evolve with you. 4. Building a community. The value in building a community is that it becomes a way to network and market yourself. Remember, we don't just want to solicit our writing all day. We want to build connections that can benefit both of us and the person we're trying to connect with. I've seen that many writers have the best success when they connect personally with anyone in the creative market. 5. Having IP. Basically, your writing, brand, and anything you create and publish has value as your property. If you have something in one format and retain rights to it when someone wants to turn it into another format, you are now noticeable and that you have something they, the industry, may want. Now remember that having that IP is really great to have when you're building a community. And that's why it's so important to kind of put these two together to make something more valuable out of it. I hope this gives you some more to think about and really helped you expand your ideas on how to get noticed. It's not an easy industry, but it's never boring. If you have any topics you want me to cover, drop me a comment down below. And until the next time, scribes.